It's Douglas Coleman.
Heidi, heidi, ho. Heidi, 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 ho. Welcome to the Douglas Coleman Show. It's me, Douglas Coleman. How are ya? How are ya? We got a great show for you today. It's a special 2-hour musical showcase special. And I'm really excited about it, and you should be too, because you're getting 4 shows for the price of 1. And we've got 4 very special guests, 4 musicians and artists who in their own genres and own right are fabulous. 3 of them are from the United States, from different parts of the country, and 1 is from Aberdeen, Scotland. So please stay tuned for that. But before we get to that, I'd like to introduce my co-host. She's the president and founder of Lady Lake Entertainment, the always light and fluffy Miss Cindy D'Adamo. Hey, Cindy, how are you?
Hi, Douglas. Doing great.
Good. What's going on today?
Well, I'm a big fan of all kinds of entertainment news, the pressing things, the things that we can't simply do without.
Oh, yeah. Must be about the Kardashians.
It is. It's how did you ever guess? Well, today, the Kardashian family had a bathing suit contest.
Oh, well.
Among the teenagers, however, it was young Kylie versus Mom Chris in a Who Wore It Best contest for a hot pink one-piece.
Oh.
Who do you think won?
Probably Mom, and she wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah.
I think that the family voted, and Kim was the deciding factor and said, "Sorry, Kylie, Mom won."
I think that game was fixed. I think Mom fixed that game, no doubt. First time I saw a picture of Mom, I thought she looked exactly like Adam Lambert.
Oh, there is a strong resemblance.
Yeah, but Adam Lambert has far more talent, that's for sure. I mean, what the hell does the mom do?
She's the momager.
Yeah, what do any of them do, actually? But you know what? I do have to give Kim Kardashian a little credit. She's not as stupid as she pretends to be. I just saw in Forbes magazine she's worth $80 million.
Exactly. If you can make $80 million by really not knowing how to do anything, then hats off to you.
Yeah, then there's more to her than meets the ass, I guess. But anyways, I think Periscope Girl is calling in now. Let's check in with her. Hi, Periscope Girl.
Hey, Jane.
Aye, Captain. Ahoy, Cindy Lake. So, my hearties, this week's Periscope report is as follows. Sink me, I have some surprising news about the Fargo, North Dakota Police Department. They are using Periscope to stream live on their traffic stops. There's a mixed reaction from the landlubbers, but the police say they want the public to interact with them in a positive way. Blimey, on my personal front, I have feeling fair addled by the responses that I've received on my online dating site. I was ambushed by weevil-infested scurvy rats. I think some of them were 3 sheets to the wind when they replied. Yeah, so I'm going to sail away from the site, go where fair winds may take me. To end my report on a positive note, I've been interviewing a pair of jolly nice archaeologists digging up at the university. They never heard of Periscope, but were pleased to oblige. Report over, Captain. Roger that, over and out.
Okay, thank you, Periscope Girl. Very interesting report. And good luck finding your shipmate on Periscope. And now, once again, it's time for Lady Lake Corner.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Lady Lake Corner for the week of August 25th to September 1st. Find our talented roster at www.reverbnation.com/label/LadyLakeMusic for music samples, press, photos, and upcoming shows from all of our talented artists. This week we have a special welcome to the multi-talented International Nova, who is entering our Lady Lake family. We will be partnering with him on the soundtrack of the new film Achilles the Hit, of which he is also a cast member. For more information on Nova, go to www.reverbnation.com/International Nova. Follow him on Twitter at NovaBXPrince. And for information on Achilles the Hit, go to moonravenfilms.com. That's it for this week's Lady Lake Corner.
Okay, thank you, Cindy, for Lady Lake Corner, and we'll be right back. Okay, my first guest today is an international recording and performing artist. She is also a devout believer in youth mentorships through the arts. Her philosophy is, children all around the world have the same needs, to have an outlet for creative expression. She travels nationally and internationally, establishing performing arts and sports programs for youth. She also organizes yearly summer camps for the performing arts for youth and teens. She is on the roster at Georgia Tech University, teaching acting to faculty and students. She now makes her home, she has made her home from Alabama to Atlanta, Georgia, and has appeared all across the United States in performances and theater presentations. She has produced several youth theatrical productions. She's written several plays, published an environmental skit for the city of Mobile, and is writing a children's book, Fred and Felix, an environmental play for children called Trash Talkin'. In her play, the stars and the heroes are the recyclable items who are looking for a second chance on life. Please welcome Ms. Diane Cameron Elam. How you doing, Diane?
I am doing wonderful.
You're mentioned in here on doing all kinds of projects, but I want to hear about Fred and Felix because that just sounds great. Tell me about that one.
Fred is a giraffe and Felix is a hummingbird, and they both live at the zoo without walls. And Fred carries Felix around in his ear all day long. So they're best friends. And, it's really to show diversity, to show that, two people from different backgrounds, obviously, can be friends. And it's also to put a spin on how the animals must feel being caged up in zoos. Everything was going really good at the zoo. It's called City Town Zoo. There was a great zookeeper and all of that. And then one day a wall goes up and all the zoo animals freak out because prior to this particular wall going up, there was no wall. And the story spins from there.
Okay, tell me about Trash Talking.
Trash Talking is a spinoff on the trash talking that the sports celebrities and the athletes do on, out there when they're talking about one another and that kind of thing. It's actually the trash, the garbage who talks, and they want to be recycled back into usability, and it's all about recycling and, a second chance at life. It's to put human characteristics on refuse to show children about things that have been thrown away can be reused again. So they all live at the dump and they all support each other and they whine on each other about, if I just had a second chance at life again. But it's really about to show, usability, to show that, we should be really, really good stewards of the earth.
So you've got like plastic bottles and tin cans talking to each other at the dump, that kind of
Right.
Oh,
right.
Okay, I get it. Oh, that sounds cool. I like that.
And there's a real cool little song, it's like a little jingle that I wrote that goes along with the play, and it's it's called "I Want Another Opportunity." So there you go.
All right. Well, reading through this, it sounds like you have done a lot of stuff in your life, all kinds of different things.
And some of it doesn't connect. It's just
well, listen.
It's all creative stuff, but it's all on different planes. It goes, you got one thing with the theater, one thing with the acting, one thing with the music, but all of it, it just speaks to how we all are interconnected in a way.
It's funny because a lot of the creative people that I've met and have worked with, and I'm one myself, We are people who need lots and lots of stimulus all the time to keep our very active brains entertained. And I'm one of these people who will sit in front of 3 computers that are all beyond different things, and the TV will be on, and I'll be thinking about something else, but I will be able to keep track of everything that's going on all of the screens. And I see so many creative people like that that'll do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and they're all over the place, but it's really what feeds them.
That's right. You know, it's not a pastime. It's a life. It's a
life. It's a lifetime. Yeah, it's absolutely. It's how we kind of function. You know, and I think a lot of creative people obviously have to work at some other kind of job because money isn't always coming flowing in our artistic endeavors. And I've noticed that creative people sometimes have a difficult time with like the 9-to-5 structure. Our brains just aren't wired that way. You know, we're just not wired to do it like that and to have that kind of rigid structure. I know for me, I worked 20 years in that kind of environment, and although I did it, it was going against my nature. It was going against the grain. It was a real effort for me to do it.
Well, funny you should say that because it's been 15 years now since I left corporate. You know, I was in corporate America in the financial realm, and
you and me both.
I got tired of asking for time off. I had to go to Japan for 3 months with a band, a jazz band, and then I came back, and then I had to go somewhere. So it just got tiring, and then I just said, you know what, if I'm going to do this, you know, and I'm not necessarily money driven. I'm more arts and creative driven. So this is my lifetime. This is my passion. Right. Then I'm just going to have to step away from the corporate world, which is so structured. I mean, you know, 5 minutes late for arriving at work and you're getting written up, or, you know, your lunchtime is an hour and you're still out there doing stuff. You haven't had a chance to get back yet. So it's just, you know, it's just too much rigidity. So I just said, hey, I'm leaving this. And, you know, for the past 15 years, I've done what you see, what you're reading.
Well, let's play one of your songs. I mean, aside from all of that, you are also a very accomplished singer, and I definitely want to play your music because this is our music showcase. So I've got 2 here. I've got Come On In and Blessed Gande.
Yes, Blessed Gande.
Gande, sorry.
A village in Africa.
Ah, okay. Do you want to tell us anything about that song? I'll play that one first.
I had a chance to go there in 2004 and visit this village who's completely built in water. The houses are on stilts, the stores are on stilts, and the people get around in boats. So I just had this epiphany about, you know, living there and visiting the people and that kind of thing. And so, you know, it was like a tribute to that culture, that community.
Okay, well, let's listen to that. This is Diane Cameron Elam, Blessed Gande.
weather, chilly and cold. Cleanse me my body, save me my soul. Hide me from trouble, I'm finally home. Home is here to stay. My soul is in your water. I'll never go away. Blessed gon' be. My home is here to stay. My soul is in your water. I'll never go away. Take me down to the river where my soul can be set free. Think I'll stay in the water, 'cause I found my liberty. It's gonna be, my home is here to stay. My soul is in your water. I'll never go away. Blessed gonna be, my home is here to stay. My soul is in your water. I'll never go away. Take me down to the river where my soul can be set free. Think I'll stay in the water, 'cause I found my liberty.
Yeah, that was nice. I like that. That has so many different kinds of sounds and genres in there. I couldn't, if I was to try to describe that song to somebody, I'd have a hard time because I hear so many different things in it. I hear the singing sounds sort of gospel, but the beat behind it is like jazz fusion.
Yes.
And then I think you've got some kind of rhythm track in there that, I don't know, maybe African rhythm. But I don't,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
But it's like kind of all thrown together into a nice song. And
like a gumbo pot.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's very good, though. Tell me about your musical background. What kind of stuff did you grow up listening to, and what was turning you on to music?
My mom, I think, let's see, maybe from when I was 4, 5 years old, she used to play just a melange of music, show tunes. I remember Paint Your Wagon. I remember Mario Lanza.
Oh, yeah.
Nina Simone and Nat King Cole, Dinah Washington, just Big Maybelle. And I would listen to the music when I was a little girl, and I would, learn some of the songs. And I just, grew up with a great appreciation for all kinds of music style. Doris Day and a plethora of sounds that we always had coming from at that time, it was a record player in our house. So, it just kind of stuck to me and got in my musical DNA.
Well, when I was growing up, my mother was a big jazz fan. Probably my favorite singer that she used to play a lot of was Ella Fitzgerald.
Oh, yes.
And as I got older, then I got into, more rock and roll and that kind of stuff. But I found myself coming back to the jazz music when I was like in my late 30s. And I rediscovered Ella Fitzgerald and Miles Davis and Oscar Peterson, people that were just amazing, amazing musicians. And I watched a biography of Ella, and I don't think there's anybody who's ever, that you could compare. She was one of a kind with her
Yes.
voice. Absolutely one of a kind. Nobody's even close.
No. Should have mentioned her because she also played a lot of her song. I remember a Tisket a Tasket.
Well, that was her signature song. But she did like the album I remember that my mother used to play all the time was Ella Sings the Cole Porter Songbook. And she just did the most beautiful jazz ballads that I've ever heard. I mean, it's the kind of voice that you cry when you hear her sing because her voice was so smooth. But then she could rock too. She could do those real swinging numbers. And
did she do Blackbird?
She did all of it. She did every song that you could imagine. Every cover tune in the world she covered at one point. She did Lady is a Tramp.
Yes, I remember that.
She did, what was her? Lemon Drop was another one, the real fast one. And then her scat singing was unbelievable. Yeah.
Nobody can touch her.
No, absolutely not. That's just not available anymore. That kind of.
That was to me. That was real music, Doug. You know, I mean.
Oh yeah.
You know, it took patience. It took
took talent.
Dedication, talent. You know, it took rehearsals. It's just a different lane than what we hear today. A lot of it, you know.
So when you started out, did you start out as a singer or did you start out as a writer or what were you doing when you were?
Actually, I started out as a dancer.
Okay, as a dancer. All right.
Yeah, I took dancing from the Afro Arts Theater in Chicago. And I did modern dance, you know, around town. And at this time, I really didn't know I could sing. I kind of thought I could, but now I didn't have enough nerve to get before a microphone and actually, you know, utter out some tunes. But that kind of came later. Kind of evolved into that theater first and then the music.
So you went from dancing to theater to singing, basically, right? Okay.
Makeup artist, just anything to do with writing, anything to do with the arts and being creative, you know.
Well, I agree with you. I don't think there's anything strange about people who do all of it. You know, there's a lot of people that do a little of this, a little of that, a little of that. But some people aren't good at doing everything. You know, some people are good at being diverse in their crafts and can do many. But some people are very sort of focused on just one thing. For me, I started with music, but then I've wanted to do acting. I did acting in high school. And now I'm finding a passion for doing audio stuff like radio. So I don't know. I think it's the one thing I cannot do is dance. That absolutely cannot dance at all. But I love watching dancers, especially really good ones. I like the old school, like, you know, Gene Kelly and those people.
Oh, yeah.
I love watching them. And I like the new stuff, like the B-boy stuff, where they spin around on the floor. And I love watching any of it, but I cannot dance at all. In fact, I wouldn't go to dances in high school. I just refused to go because I was just so shy about dancing. You know, there's just no way. I could like wave my arms around and look like an idiot, but that was about it. Anyways, so what are you working on right now? What's your current project?
A million things at one time.
A million things, yeah.
Just trying to complete one thing is just, you know, sometimes it's so difficult. Actually, I'm working on a film, and it's a film that I wrote maybe about 8 years ago, and it's called The Sitting Stone. Real quick, it's about a mom who lost her son, and her son was a marble carver. And he was carving a piece for her before he passed. And his wife, who's not a very nice person, she had the city come and get the stone. It's a big piece it's a big rock. And when the mom found out, she had the city bring it back, and the city put it on her porch. And she would go out there every morning and sit on it and pray. And she said that she felt closer to God and closer to her son.
Wow. This is a film?
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's all written. It's all mapped out. It's storyboard and everything. Is just a matter of getting the funding to get the trailer and all that stuff done.
How is this like a full-length thing, or is it a short film, or?
I would say it's about an hour and 15 minutes, maybe an hour and 30 minutes.
Oh, well, that's a full-length film. Yeah. So how does it go from there? It starts. Is it like a biographical thing where you start with the stone carver as a kid or something and progress?
Well, he never appears in the film except to her memory.
Oh, I see. Oh, so it's a flashback then.
Yes.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. No, I'm just kind of putting it together in my head how this would work as a film, but it sounds interesting. Definitely sounds interesting.
Oh, The Sitting Stone.
The Sitting Stone. Okay. Well, so you said it's not in production yet, right?
No, but I hope, Doug, that this year we'll at least see some kind of movement on it, because it's been like a heart project. I've gone to different film agencies, and even the ones with the state and the city and the government, and just trying to see where is the money for these projects. You put out something called GoFundMe, but everybody's got one of those, so you don't think you can get all the money that you need for your project. So it's just, I hope that, one day that it comes to fruition. That's all I can say.
Well, I hope so too. I just was talking to Leanne. Do you know her?
No, I don't think so.
She's making a film called Achilles the Hit.
Oh, yes.
And we just had an interview. I just did hers before this one. And we had a great conversation about filmmaking and about the whole process and the money and the productions of it. And really interesting because I didn't know that much about it. And it was very informative for me. But I know it's a little bit of a different game to make a film than it is to record a song.
Right. And you know what? It was like maybe 7 o'clock one evening, without any prior thought to this storyline or these characters, they came to me, and I began to write, and I finished writing it the next morning, maybe about 10 or 11, without any sleep. I just moved totally by motivation, and it was completely written.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Songs will come, you've written songs as well, but for me, I'll get like a little phrase that'll spark it. And I can write the rest of the song around that phrase. That's usually how it comes. And the phrases usually come while I'm driving, which is always inconvenient because you can't just stop and, if you're on the freeway or something. But that's where it tends to happen with me because my mind's kind of wandering when you're driving and I'll get this phrase and I'll go, there's the song. And then I just kind of rush home and get to the piano and get it done.
I used to call my cell phone and leave a message, with the tune in there.
Oh, there you go. That's a good idea. I never thought of that. Never thought to do that. Leave yourself a voicemail. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'll have to remember that. Well, speaking of songs, we got to get your second one on here. This one's called Come On In. Is there any story behind that one?
It was a one-take inspiration. My pianist who will be with us next week in New Orleans, Roger Weaver from Chicago. Actually, it's I hate to spill the beans, but it was actually in a studio in Chicago, and I started singing and he started playing, or he either started playing and I started singing, but some kind of way we connected and we just kept going. And 4 minutes later, it was a song that we had recorded on cassette tape. We hadn't even, there was no prior thought to that. It was not intentional. And we're like, whoa, we just did something fantastic. And so he was able to digitize it. And because of the quality of it, we added, just like you did, with some applause. And, we kind of made a scene that it was in Paris, but actually it was in Chicago, in his basement.
Oh, well, this sounds interesting, yeah.
Just, and we didn't want to throw it away. And so, when my first CD came out, This Woman's Heart, we put it on there.
All right, well, let's listen to it. This is Diane Cameron Elam and Come On In.
Live from the Voulez-Vous in Paris, France, it's Diane Cameron Elam.
waited so long. Why don't you come and go believe, darling? This love song. No more yesterdays, baby. From now on, you waited for this so long. Did you ever think that you'd go this way again? Did you ever think that you would win? 'Cause even in the desert, it rains now and then. So my love, you got to come on in. So come on in. 'Cause my love is real fine. Sweet, sweet like honey. Mellow like wine. Don't you be big old scaredy cat. 'Cause I'm the keeping kind. If you promise to give me yours, baby, I'll give you mine. Come on in, baby. You waited for so long. Complete my song. I won't give you no more yesterdays. Everything good from now on. You waited for this so long. Come on in. Come on in, darling. Come on in, baby. Take your shoes off, relax a while. Merci beaucoup, Paris. Je t'aime.
All right.
A little acting too.
Yeah, I like that. That does sound kind of like just a jam session, though, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that was great. And I love that organ sound. That's one of my favorite sounds, is that kind of the organ sound. I wish I could use it more in my stuff, but I've only used it a couple of times.
Is it B3?
Yeah, the Hammond organ sound is a fantastic sound. And, of course, nobody uses that anymore.
No, but they should.
But they should.
Billy Preston?
Right? Oh, he was one of the best. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There were lots and lots of great organ players back in the day. The Allman Brothers used that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there was so much good music, the 60s and the 70s. And well, you know what, Diane? We have run out of time. And it's too bad because we were just getting started here. I did want to ask you, though, how did you meet Cindy? How long have you been friends with her?
At least from 8 to 10 years, and we began our mutual respect for one another's gifts and talents through MySpace.
Oh, okay.
Either she reached out to me or I reached out to her. Now, that part is not clear, but it's been a long-term, beautiful relationship. And I tell everybody, when I had gotten to the point where I was just about ready to say, well, you know what, I'm just going to fold my tent and pack it away. She kept playing my music. She kept promoting me, and it was almost like I just couldn't go away. because she kept me out there in the forefront. So,
Oh, that's great.
for that, I'm forever grateful. She believed in me at that point more than I believed in myself, or either more than I thought about it. I will always say that she is the reason, one of the reasons why I'm still in the game now. Sometimes when you're ready to give up, especially artists, we can get so emotional about stuff. You just have one person that say, hey, come on, you can do it. You just keep going. So she was that one person.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I know exactly what you mean. I mean, artists, we get down on ourselves a lot. It's not an easy game. It's, you put your stuff out there, you pour your heart and soul into your music or your writing or whatever you do, and then, you get those people that you send it out to and they say, well, no, thank you.
Right.
And after about 100 of those, you start to think, well, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I should give it up. But that's exactly what you shouldn't do. You should take those kinds of things and just use them to empower yourself more, because it's all about perseverance. Even the ones that we might not consider to have so much talent, it took work to get to where they got. It's the work that'll pay off, and it's the most rewarding.
It sure is. It sure is. And now I sing and perform. Not by schedule. I don't have to have a full schedule every month I'm appearing here, but I do it when I really feel like I want to. And so I have a different mindset of it now. It's more by my own design, if you will.
I think that's a lot better, because
I think I'm enjoying it more. I'm working less, but enjoying it more.
There you go. Because some days I get out of bed and I definitely don't feel like singing. But if I had a schedule, then well, you'd have to get up and sing whether you wanted to or not.
That's right.
So this way you can do it when you feel like it. Well, Diane, thank you. It's been a real treat talking to you, and I'd like you to come back on the show when we have more time. Maybe you can just be the guest, and we'll just do a whole show with you. I think that would be great.
I love your radio voice, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I'm enjoying doing this show, and found that I almost like speaking as much as I like singing now.
It's just one of your talents,
Another one of those branches,
keep reinventing ourselves every day, as artists. So
I know it.
Creative people.
It's crazy. We have no attention span for anything. We just pick up one thing and then go 10 minutes later, we're on to something else.
That's right.
It's great. Well, listen, thank you again, and I hope we get to talk again soon. My special thanks to my guest, Diane Cameron Elam, for a great interview, and I hope she comes back on the show. She's a really sweet lady. I love talking to her. Coming up next is a singer-songwriter from Aberdeen, Scotland, named Colin Clyne, and we'll get him on just as soon as we listen to this commercial. Bondi Guest House in Jomtien Beach, Pattaya, Thailand. And their guest house offers beachfront accommodations with all rooms having sea views. Some rooms have balconies overlooking the sea as well. The Jomtien nightlife is within an easy stroll, and the beach is right outside your door. The attractions of Pattaya City nightlife are also just a few minutes ride away. Food is available 24 hours and offer a selection of European and Thai food. The owners, Colin and Malcolm, look forward to welcoming you to the Bondi. And if you book early for October 2015, rooms start at 600 baht per night, which is approximately $18 US. For more information, email Colin at bondipattaya, BONDIPATTAYA at yahoo.co.uk. And if you do contact them, please mention that you heard about it on the Douglas Coleman Show. An award-winning Scottish singer-songwriter in the country, folk rock, and Americana genres. Spending 10 years in California, he is now based back in Scotland, blazing a trail through the UK music scene. He left San Diego as a two-time San Diego Music Award winner of the coveted Best Acoustic Act, an award previously held by Jason Mraz and Jewel. NBC featured him in a top 12 list of best singer-songwriters associated with San Diego, in and amongst Tom Waits, Jewel, and the late Jim Croce. His latest CD, The Never-Ending Pageant, was produced by Grammy Award-winning engineer Alan Sanderson. Most notably, Sanderson worked with the Stones, Elton John, Ryan Adams, and Burt Bacharach. Pageant reached number 6 on the iTunes Country Album and Song charts. Radio play for Pageant includes BBC Scotland, BBC Radio Cambria, BBC Radio Shropshire, BBC Hereford and Worcester, BBC Radio Stoke, BBC Tees, Amazing Radio, XFM, Roots and Fusion, Chris Country Radio, UK Radio, EGH, and many, many more. Please welcome Colin Clyne.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Colin. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm covered in baby vomit, actually, at the minute. But apart from that, I'm great.
Oh, yes. You just had a new baby. Congratulations. Is this your first one?
Thank you. No, this is my second one. We have a 3.5-year-old girl. We now have a new 4-week-old baby girl who has just threw up on me. So it's all good.
Isn't that lovely? So you have two girls now, eh?
I do, yes.
Oh, well, congratulations. And what are their names?
The oldest one is called Catherine, and the youngest one is called Elizabeth.
Oh, very nice. Nice English names, yeah?
Well, yeah, I think Catherine's Scottish. I think is Catherine Scottish? I think it may be Scottish. Elizabeth is probably more likely to be English, yeah.
Yeah.
But, very regal names. But they're named after grandmothers. Our grandmothers were named those names. So
I wanted to ask you about San Diego. You spent 10 years in San Diego. What brought you there?
My wife, actually, she was working over there at the university, so I ended up following, and I liked it and I stayed. So it was a great period of our life, both in a life sense and a musical sense for me. Definitely, yeah, it was a great 10 years. Yeah.
So when was that you were there? What years?
Was between 2003 and 2013. So I moved back to Scotland in summertime 2013.
Well, San Diego I've been to many times, and it's a very beautiful city.
Oh, it's great place.
Certainly the weather is fabulous, and I've always enjoyed myself there.
Yeah, the weather, you can't beat it in San Diego. In Scotland, it's apparently summer here right now, and it's done nothing but rain. It's rained and occasional bursts of sunshine, and it's rained some more.
I saw a picture of Eric Clapton, and he was going to his 70th birthday party in London. And this was fairly recent, like maybe last week. And he was bundled up with a heavy winter coat and a scarf. And I thought, wait a minute, isn't it supposed to be summer? And apparently it's been very, very cold in the UK for this summer.
It's been crazy. It's been up and down. It's been really hot some days, and it's been freezing. And I think there was talk of snow at one point, and it's rained a lot here. It's rained a lot. I mean, we've had flooding and everything in the northeast of Scotland where I live now. So it's very surreal.
Wow. Can you give us a little bit of background on yourself, because I don't have a real bio here for you. Just kind of where you grew up and what music you listened to as a kid, and how you got influenced to doing your own music, if you would, please.
Yeah, certainly. I grew up in a small town called Stonehaven, just south of Aberdeen in the northeast of Scotland. And then I left this area of the world to go to America when I was about 26, I think. I grew up listening to a lot of, in our house, my mother's record player, there was Bob Dylan and Neil Young, Simon and Garfunkel, Bruce Springsteen, and there was other things like a Scottish band called the Corries. And then there was an Irish band that called the Furies. These were all records I seem to have quite vivid recollection of being played in our house. I think they definitely had an influence on the sound of my own original music. It wasn't necessarily what I was listening to when I was younger. I mean, I grew up listening to quite a lot of the sort of Britpop era, Oasis and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah.
And and rock and roll type stuff as well. When I started writing songs, it was all ended up being a kind of the first CD I did was quite a heavy rock type of thing. But ever since then, it's just been in the folk, country, Americana sort of ballpark. Since then, that's really what my natural sound is. So, but with my own accent and my own voice. I haven't tried to replicate any kind of American accents or anything like that. There's a lot of that goes on, and that's fine. But I've always just developed my own voice. Yeah, I would say they were definitely influences. There's other more contemporary influences as well. I released my first CD actually at the age of 30. I was quite late to this actually. I had an accident with my hand when I was a teenager, so I didn't touch a guitar from about the age of about maybe 16 to 23, I think.
Oh, wow.
And then I started playing. I basically had to kind of start again, sort of mid-20s, just getting my fingers back into the groove, and I started writing songs then, and then eventually I met the right people out in America, and I ended up releasing the first CD through an independent label out there, and things just continued from there. When I started touring and on my own with an acoustic guitar, kept writing. I was actually working in the oil industry at the time as well, several months a year on a boat, so I was doing a lot of writing there. I was doing a lot of traveling, and then I'd go back to America, and I would tour, and I just kept at it, and it's just, I've got to the point where I am just now, where I've several records. My name's continuing to get out there, so that's good.
What I found interesting about your music was that you didn't actually sing with an American accent. You had mentioned that. I had another Scottish musician on my show a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, named Wiley Bow Walker. I don't know if you know him or not.
No, I don't. I might recognize the name. It sounds familiar.
He sings sort of Delta blues kind of music.
Okay, yeah.
Really kind of a low, gruffy sort of singing voice like that. Very, very good. When he sings completely with an American accent. When I heard your music, I definitely heard your Scottish accent in there. And I thought, oh, you're one of the few actually who didn't. Because even people like the Beatles, comments were always made about, why do you sing like Americans and speak like Englishmen? I thought it was interesting that you actually kept your accent in your music. I thought that's great.
Well, I think it allows me to go. It wasn't a conscious decision, but it's just my singing voice. And the thing about it is, it allows me to dip into folk music or into rock music. It allows me to go wherever I want. Where I'm not suggesting there's anything wrong with like a vocal sort of affection, or if that's the right term. Bob Dylan did it a lot. He changed his voice in different records, and it was almost like a different character. If you listen to something like Nashville Skyline, it sounds like a completely different person singing. And there's elements that might change or flex or sort of move about a little bit, but it's I'm fairly true to my own voice in that respect. I wouldn't imagine you'll hear. You never say never. You just never know, but. That's my voice, I think it gives it a different slant, and I think that was the interesting thing when I was working with Alan Sanderson. He was very much about that, the fact that people were trying to get me to alter things, and he was like, no, you keep doing what you're doing, because that's cool. We'll work around what you're doing. So yeah, I've just continued to just keep doing what I'm doing. If people like it, great.
How did you meet him?
We met, actually, he engineered 2 tracks on my first CD. The person who was producing that CD knew his girlfriend, I think, or knew his family is originally Scottish. And they got talking, I'm working with this Scottish artist just now, blah, blah, blah. And we ended up going up, and I never thought anything of it. And then I actually, just before I went to the studio, I was quite green at that time, I checked out the studio and this guy's credentials, and I was like, this guy's worked with Rolling Stones, and I'm like, what on earth, this is like my first CD, what on earth am I doing going there, And we actually became friends, and we hit it off, and then we worked together for probably, as well as having a very strong friendship. We worked together for the best part of 8 years, working on a couple of albums together and various other things. He helped me, took me under his wing to some extent, and helped me develop. So. Wow,
that's great. Okay, I want to play one of your songs now. I'd like to play the Never Ending Pageant first. Can you just tell us about that one? What's the story behind that song?
Well, when I wrote that song, it was actually, the album was always going to be called The Never Ending Pageant. I didn't have a song at that point. The album was always going to be called that. And then I was going through a bit of a period where I'd had enough of the music, and I'd had enough of people I was dealing with and musicians and whatever. And I wasn't feeling inspired, but I kept getting all these songs coming to me. And I didn't want them anymore. I don't want any more songs. Please stop sending these songs to me, whoever it is that's sending them. And then I had my first daughter. And then I was inspired again. I wanted those songs back. That's kind of the premise of the song, about wanting that inspiration once again. So.
Oh, all right. Okay. Well, here is Colin Clyne and the Never Ending Pageant.
you let me go. 'Cause God, I'm tired of these songs that you're giving to me. Sorry, I can't do this anymore. And I don't know what I'm thinking. Maybe I'm tired, never-ending pageants, Messiah. Chop down my life and won't you let me go? God, I'm high with this child that you're giving to me. She lit a fire in my soul. Give me one more try on those songs that you're giving to me. Sing them to my children evermore. And I don't know what I'm thinking. Maybe I'm tired, never-ending pageants, Messiah. Drop down my life, I'll never let you go. Cause I won't look back, missed opportunities. I won't look back, now you've given love to me. I won't look back, missed opportunities. I won't look back, now you've given love to me. Oh, 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 and I don't know what I'm thinking. Maybe I'm tired, never-ending pageants, Messiah. Drop down my line, I'll never let you go. 'Cause I'm so tired of this never-ending pageant. Sorry, I can do this anymore.
Yeah, that was Colin Clyne and Never Ending Pageant. I really like that song. It's
Thank you very much.
a lot of soul in your voice, a lot of depth to it. It's so nice to hear real singers these days, because so much of what is out in the mainstream and the major labels is all sort of processed, auto-tuned vocals, and people are sounding a bit like robots that can't sing when they get through all of that process. And with you, your voice is just right there. It's just, you know, listening to a song like that, I could be in a pub and you're just sitting there playing the guitar and singing that song. Also, the harmonica is real nice. Did you play that, or who played that?
Yes, sir. I played that. Yeah, I played the harmonica in the whole album. Yeah. Yeah. So no, I enjoy. I mean, the thing with the singing is, I don't ever claim to be any kind of technical singer or anything. It's all about passion for me. You know, I don't claim to be the most technically gifted singer, but I like to think I can deliver a song. So.
Well, you know what? I think most of the greatest singers were ones that were just natural. And I mean, this is my opinion. Some people would disagree with me, but the greatest singers that have been around didn't take singing lessons. They just were born with the gift, and it just came from the heart. When it starts coming from the book, it changes the whole way that the voice is delivered. And I don't know if you've ever heard somebody who, I gave this as an example on one of the other shows, but somebody who plays the piano strictly from music and has no musical sense at all. And you can put a piece of sheet music in front of them on the piano, and they'll play it. It has a very mechanical kind of sound to it, where somebody who can't read music at all will just play, and it'll have a lot of feeling and it'll have a very human element to it. And your voice definitely has that. And I particularly enjoy singing singers like that much better
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at, there's a lot of people that are very technically gifted out there, and they have to ask themselves, why do they not move people the same way as somebody that's, for example, sings from the heart or whatever? Because that's what people are latching onto. They're not. As you pointed out, every note can be processed nowadays, but it's quite easily be that. But you can't process feel, can't process that. You can't process heart and soul. That has to be there. That has to, at the very least, has to be there.
Well, and that's what people will feel in the music. Is they will feel the singer who's pouring his heart out and pouring his soul out to the world. That's what will connect with the listener, to get them, how music, some songs can move people to tears or could move them to laugh and jump up and down or dance. The connection has to be human, I think, not computer.
I agreed, yeah. There was actually some tears shed when we recorded that song in the studio, actually. So I think we got it. We knew at the beginning, it was like, well, I think we got that.
Well, it definitely has a very powerful kind of emotional feel about it. It's a great song. I really like it. How long has that CD been out, The Never Ending Pageant?
Last summer. It was released July 2014. So we've been promoting that now for a year, and I mean, I'll be promoting that for the rest of my life. But I guess from a point of view, it's definitely still got some legs on it. Some radio stations and publications that we'd like to get it into in some shape or form, and just continue going out and playing it and letting people, and hopefully, and turning people onto it, and then they can make their mind up on the album once they've heard it. You know what I mean? So it's still got some legs. I'll give it another year or so and try and get some more festivals and whatever behind it, and we'll see where it takes us.
Now, are you a full-time musician, or is that what you're doing, or do you have another job as well?
At the minute, no. I took a job in December, so I've been doing that whilst we've been growing our family, with some touring and whatever else tied into it. I've been doing a lot of touring around the UK, so I've been juggling that and juggling everything. So it's been quite a journey the last 6 months. Maybe slightly longer. The last 8 months has been a bit hectic, but there's not been much sleep happening. So, and it's not from rock and roll excess either, I can assure you of that.
Well, you've got 2 babies now. I think those days are over.
Yeah. So, but there's still a lot of music being played, and we've been playing a lot of festivals. I've got a band here in Scotland called the Karens. I brought these guys on last year, and we've been playing basically songs from my last 2 albums live and playing them in festivals and concert halls and whatever. So just trying to make money from that is very difficult. Everybody involved actually has a job at the minute. So
I think these days trying to make money doing music is much more difficult than probably it was, in the sense that people don't buy music anymore.
No, I agree. I mean, I would love to know what the mismatch in regards to how many people actually own my album in various shapes and forms, versus how many people actually bought my album. That's always interesting to know. Yeah. If you had somebody's album, it's because you bought it. Simple as that.
Right. And you took it, and it was, if you went to the store and you bought it and it was $10, versus a digital download, which might, for the song, you might get $1 in the US. Yeah. And for a stream, you get 1 penny. It's worthless. I don't like it. I really don't.
No, I hate that format. It's a terrible format. I mean, I think one of the problems is I think people take that as an excuse to say, well, I'm going to throw anything together now and throw it up on the internet and sell it. I mean, when I made my last 2 albums, I went the full hog on them. I recorded them professional studios, recorded to analog tape.
Wow.
Mixed them on a Neve desk. We did it to tape. And my inspiration is all these Bob Dylan albums and Neil Young albums. In order to try and create something that's akin to that, you've got to go through the same process. You can't expect to get the same sound firing it through a $1,000 laptop. You've got to use the right equipment and the right people, and the right players is really important, of course. So despite the fact that music is deemed a cheaper thing nowadays, a bit more throwaway, unfortunately, I still hold on to the ethos that it should still be created and produced properly.
Well, I agree with you 100%, and you're absolutely right about music being throwaway. And probably that's why. Did music become more disposable because of the way it's being produced now? Or because music is more disposable, it's being produced in a very haphazard sort of cheap manner. I don't know. I don't know which one came first, but
I think people's expectations are different nowadays. I think people expect everything now. People. It's reality TV. It's apps on your phone. Nobody has to go very far to find somebody. It's all instant. What I remember growing up, if you wanted to find your friend, you had to go to their house to start with. Oh, they're not here. Okay, so you go to the park, and then they're not here, and then you go somewhere else. And eventually you find them, then you agree. I'll meet you here. I'll meet you there, and I think it's become more. Everything's become more instant, and the expectations, and for example, we played this festival the other week there, and it's quite a big festival in Scotland, and we were playing one of the smaller stages, quite a new band in that respect, but there were some girls came up to us after the gig, and they're like, "Oh, you guys were the best. You guys were the best band we've seen the whole weekend." That's great, it was really great. So I was like, well, thank you very much. Can I interest you in a CD by any chance? And she's like, oh, was it for free? I said, well, no, I had to pay to make it, so £10, if you want the CD. Oh, I'm not buying a CD. So that's what you're up against. You're up against being the best, in this woman's opinion, being the best band at that festival. There was hundreds of bands on it, yet not willing to pay £10 to take a piece of that home. So, that's what you're up against, really.
It's true. And I saw something that was interesting. Somebody wrote where they said people these days won't blink an eye to pay $200 or $300 to go to a concert and watch somebody lip sync for 2 hours. But they won't pay $10 to go see the local band who actually plays. If they put a $10 cover charge at the door, people get all upset.
With 4 other acts.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah,
that's right. And I try not to whinge about it, because I understand people have got lives. People have got bills to pay and whatever. They can't complain on one hand about there being nothing to do and no great music anymore, but expect what there is out there for free. It's it's a real lack of respect for music. And as you say, I sat. A few years ago, I was to see Neil Young play in California when we were there, and I'm a massive Neil Young fan, so I'm like, this is great, I'm looking forward to this. And there was a guy in front of me, hey man, Neil Young has never sold out, dude. And I'm like, I suppose he hasn't to some extent, but you're sitting in a $200 seat. It doesn't matter how you look at it, there's going to be a complaint either way,
Well, I suppose, yeah. We've got to get to your second song here. I want to play Playing God. Tell us about that one. I love the title.
It's you might struggle with some of the lyrics, because there's a few Scottish words in there, a few Scottish references. But it's basically a song about how as a human species, have we become weaker? Like 100 years ago, you didn't have the same medicine, you didn't have the same health in some respects, so it was always survival of the fittest type of thing. Now there's medication, people take medication for everything. The medications get thrown at you for this and for that,
right?
And there's a kind of a question, have we become weaker in the say for example the last 100 years? And I kind of put it into this context of some people watching TV and just trying to put an everyday slant on it, that's all.
Okay, well, let's hear it. This is Colin Clyne and Playing God.
Telly wants a band with dirty Jim, knocking on the door to 44 now, chances looking pretty slim. On the 50th day for a Jeremy Kyle, drinking like a fish. And Jim is sticking to give liquor from one too many chippers, but the doctor's got something for this. One day we get weaker as a species, baby. When we take our meds, till we pass on leakage in the snow, baby. One day we get weaker as a species, baby. When we take our meds, till we pass on leakage in, I'm begging you please. It seems we're just a playing God. Jimmy's feeling tired, he's such a dead liar, heading off to his bed. Now he's rubbing out a belly, switching off the telly, baby's running through her head. Jimmy moves over with a boisterous fart, twinkling in his dreams. Jimmy's on a winner, a dirty little sinner by the name of Big Bag Jean. One day we get When we took our meds, did we pass and we could change and begging you please? No, it seems we are playing God with our children. When we throw pills down the neck, and through the years it's been natural weeding. Now we gotta stop the air is breathing. Time trying to cream, but the crown's inside her head. Run the town twice, or maybe even thrice, with even having left her bed. Jimmy was over like a groveling dog, begging for a kiss. Jimmy's getting thinner even though he loves his dinner, but the doctor's got nothing for this. One day we get weaker as a species, baby. When we took our meds, did we pass on weaker genes? Now maybe one day we get weaker as a species, baby. When we took our meds, did we pass on weaker genes? I'm begging you please, no it seems we're just a playing God. We're just a playing God. We're just a playing God. We're just a playing God.
Ah, very nice. I like that one. Although I think you're right, though. I think you would probably have to give a lyric sheet to your American audience on some of that because
there are a lot of words.
Yeah, I got some of them, but not all of them. Actually, you know what that song reminds me a little bit of? Just the verse, not the rest of it, but just the verse. There's a song by John Mellencamp called Rain on the Scarecrow.
You know what? You're not the first person to say that.
Okay. I mean, it's not a copy, obviously, but it's just, it has a little flavor of that song.
They never mentioned the song. And I don't know the song, but it has been said that's got John Mellencamp sound about that song. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Knowingly know any of his songs. What's his biggest song?
Jack and Diane. He had a bunch of hits back in the day.
Jack and Diane. Okay, I know that one. Yeah, I know that. I see. That's why when somebody mentioned, a good couple of people have mentioned that, and I thought that was a song they were talking about. I don't hear that, but I should. Wait, which song was that again?
Called Rain on the Scarecrow.
Rain on the Sky. I'll check it out.
It just has a slight feel about it. It's not identical by any means. Well, listen, Colin, it was lovely talking to you, but we're out of time. In fact, we've run late.
Well, I appreciate the call. Thank you very much.
No problem. So just give a quick, tell people where they can find you on the internet. Just give out your website, if you would, please.
Yeah, certainly. You can find me at colinclyne.com, and that will lead you to my Twitter and Facebook accounts. And I'm on there. You can converse with me or send me a message.
Okay, super. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show and for being part of our showcase. I appreciate your time, and I love listening to your music. I think it's fantastic. Best of luck.
The pleasure was all mine. Thank you very much.
Okay, take care now. Okay, my next guests, they are an all-original rock band and have recently opened shows for such national acts as Saving Abel, 80s metal legends Crocus, John Corabi, former Motley Crue singer, and Head P.E. They started in 2014 by members of two other established bands in the Tulsa music scene. Grind is a four-piece rock band that carries a sound centered and influenced by rock's heydays, already being described as one of the best bands you haven't heard of yet. Grind is a grip and rip it rock band that works to make sure everyone who comes to the show has a good time. Well, I certainly like that idea. Okay, please welcome Brian and Dale from Grind. Hey, all right. How you guys doing?
We're good. Tired.
You're tired. You guys just had a CD release party today, was that right?
Last night.
Oh, last night. Oh, tell me about it. What happened?
It was a rock and roll party. It was a good time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, we played to a full house and just a lot of work. Finally, we got to just kind of put a stamp on it and move forward, you know? It was a good time, man.
Oh, that's good. What was the name of the CD?
Sessions with Jesus Fingers.
I like that. That's very good.
The guy that helped us put this thing together, who produced it and engineered it, we call him Jesus Fingers. So since it was just an EP, we didn't want to give it a name, and so we just called it Sessions with Jesus Fingers. So.
Oh, I think that's a great title. I think that's super. Give me a little background on the band. You know, just like how you guys got together, who's in the band. Can you introduce everybody who's in it and say what they do and what they play, if you would, please?
Well, Dell and I have been trying to put something together since early 2008. We've been doing projects, you know, since then. They just haven't really taken off. They always kind of fizzle out real quick. But finally, last year, we put this together, and so far, so good. It just keeps getting better and better.
We got JD Buzzard playing bass, you know. Brian Turner plays drums. I play guitar and sing, and we got CJ McKellen playing lead guitar, vocals. Like Brian said, he and I met years ago, and we've been trying to put something together, and it just never seemed to happen. And I met CJ about a year ago at Rocklahoma. He was playing in a band called Benny's Little Weasels, and I loved the way this guy played, and I was like, I have to make music with this guy. And the minute that I heard him play, I thought about Brian, and that's kind of how it happened, you know. It happened, and it was pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I told myself this is probably going to be the last time I give Dell another chance. Nothing towards him. It just every time we put something together, it always falls apart. So I was like, okay, one more try. And
yeah, man, it's been good. It's been good. A lot of work.
Well, are you guys full-time musicians, or do you have jobs as well? I mean, you know, I'd like to say real job, but...
Yeah, we got kids, and we have careers. We have to work for a living. We're not the real rock stars we want to be.
Yeah, the whole family life still during the day, and we play during nights, and it's fun. It's hard. It takes a lot of time away from the family and keeps us from doing other things that we enjoy doing. So, I mean, it's fun, though. We're having a good time.
Well, sometimes that's it's a lot of work anyways to have a band. But then when you've got to balance that with family and kids and working, it's like you don't have any time. And so I can sort of understand why things maybe fell apart for you guys, because it's reasonable to assume that you've got to dedicate priority to the band in order for the band to be successful. And when you try to, do too many things at once, something's got to give, I think.
Yeah, we got great support, man. Our families, we got great families. We're the band is a family because we all have kids, and the cool thing is that even our kids know that we're busy, but man, they're rocking the Grind T-shirts and they're rocking out, listening to the CDs. So they know what we do, and they know that we're gone a lot. It's pretty cool. It's really cool to see, you know.
Oh, well, that's great.
Another important thing is we hang out outside the band where, other projects that Dell and I put together, it was just only a band thing. We never really hung out outside that. And I think that, for me anyway, really has an effect on how strong the band is and how tight we are. And we just like hanging out outside, the music thing, and it's not always music. So, for me, that's it's an important thing.
And in a live show, when we play music, that spills over because we know each other. We know what we're going to do.
Right.
So, that's something. It's just like last night, we had the CD release party, and the way I look at it is like I get to play rock and roll with my friends, and let's kick some ass. So it makes us feel comfortable.
Right. I hear you. Exactly. And I think also that probably strengthens your music. Now, do you guys write together as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, because I think probably having all that time together where you really get inside each other's head probably would help you out a lot when you're writing.
Yeah, it's frustrating. We're writing new stuff now as we speak, and it's usually an idea that CJ has or one that I have, and then we just throw it at Brian, and he just starts playing a beat, and then we just build off of it. So, but collaboratively, we agree on it. No idea is a bad idea, unless JD has one. But other than that, it's pretty fucking cool. That was a joke.
Yeah, it was a pretty good one.
His little idea box on our dry erase board. So all his bad ideas go into that.
So this is the bad idea box, yeah. I wanted to ask you guys about your song, Mr. Harvey. It said that this is a song about a radio broadcast that the late Paul Harvey did in 1965 entitled If I Were the Devil, which projected a lot of things that have become modern-day realities. I've never actually heard that broadcast. What did he refer to that have become modern-day realities?
Well, he predicted all the things that are happening now, as in, if I was the devil, I would make casinos legal. You know, if I was the devil, I would make infidelity okay. I would make social media okay. And, you know, and he predicted that in a time where social media wasn't even a factor in this lifetime, you know. And at the time, he was, you know, he was a prophet, I believe. And the first time I ever heard that, it just blew me away, because I'm like, I live in a time that this guy spoke of that everyone thought he was crazy. And I was obsessed with it for a while. So, you know, and that was the idea of the song.
Yeah, other things like, you know, he spoke of metal detectors in schools, you know, all the sex and stuff that's on TV, just on everyday TV that, you know.
That our kids now, because, you know, I mean, think about it, when I was growing up, somebody having a knife in high school was big news. You know, our kids are subjected to everything nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
And Paul Harvey saw it then. And that's what it was. It's just, I just wanted to convey the message. I think a prophet has a message to say, and I just agreed with him and wrote a song. We wrote a song together about it.
All right, well, let's have a listen to it. This is Grind, and the song is called Mr. Harvey.
If I were the devil. what he's doing.
Yeah. Oh, I like that song. I think that out of the 4 you sent me, that's the one that I really like.
Thanks.
Now, who wrote that one?
CJ came in with this riff, that riff that just sounds like a train, man. It just sounded like a train. At the time, I was, like I said, I discovered that Mr. Harvey thing on YouTube, and I heard it, and I was like, Mr. Harvey needs to be on the train. And that's kind of how that worked out.
Oh, there you go. Well, yeah, sometimes that's all it takes. It's just like, kind of one phrase, and you can put a song together by it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so it was just, like I said, it was something that I was kind of obsessed with for a minute. And when CJ came in with that riff, I was like, that's it.
So what were some of your influences? What did you listen to as a kid?
Man,
Motley.
Man, I was a big Michael Jackson fan.
Michael Jackson, wow.
Yeah, I grew up listening to that. I love the R&B, but man, the first time I heard metal hair music, man, wow, it changed my life, for real.
So you were listening to a lot of the 80s hair band kind of stuff?
Yeah, when I was middle school, man, that Guns N' Roses, Sweet Child of Mine.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was in 8th grade when that album came out, and man, that was it for me.
Yeah, there was a lot of them that I did not like. I only liked a handful of the 80s, and I grew up with that, but there was about 90% of it that I couldn't stand, and the rest I loved. But some of the early 90s, like Alice in Chains and Soundgarden, STP for me.
Yeah. But me and Brian, though, we can agree, man. Motley Crue was it for us. It was the attitude. I mean, we grew up in a time when sex, drugs, and rock and roll was the way to go. And, it's not that way anymore. But I truly believe that rock and roll is coming back in a big way, So we hope that we're in the catbird seat when that happens,
Oh, I hope you're right, because I don't really like what's out there, mainstream music right now. All the good music is indie. And
yeah, man. Nashville sound sucks ass, and pop radio can kiss my ass.
Well, I agree with you on that. It's just not the same. I think I'm a little older than you guys, but I grew up in the 70s when it was Led Zeppelin. That was my band.
Yeah, man, Zeppelin, man. Those guys, man, those bands they started this stuff, man.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, man, Zeppelin's got huge influences on all of us, man. CJ, he's a huge Kiss fan, Jimmy Page fan, Eddie Van Halen, he would kill me if I got that wrong.
Oh, but, I love Eddie Van Halen. I love Van Halen.
And you can hear it when he plays, man, and it's just magical. It's all the sounds that he heard growing up, and it works with what we do, and it's right. It don't sound wrong, and I know that's terrible analogy of it, but it's right.
Well, I just like music that's real. I like guys that get up and play guitars and play the drums and play the bass and actually sing without an auto-tune. Now you go to a concert for one of these people and you're paying $200, $300 to watch somebody lip sync. Come on. I mean, that's
you don't
crazy.
Want to get me started ranting on all this crap.
Right, that's just insane. I want to see.
I saw Paul McCartney last year at the BOK in Tulsa. Dude, the guy played for 3 hours and burned the building down. Come on, really? And you got all these kids wanting respect for just being terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
we just want to be good, and we want to be appreciated for what we're trying to do.
And Paul's doing that, and he's 70 years old, 72.
Yeah, exactly.
And I seen Pearl Jam for the first time last year. It was on my birthday, and they played for 3 hours and 18 minutes. Same place. It was at the BOK. Something that big arena shows they don't have is that energy and that that energy that you can get at a small venue. But I don't know how they did it, but they brought the energy there, and I've seen a million concerts, and that is hands down the best show I've ever seen, and they sound just as good now as they did back then, and I have a whole new respect for them. I've always liked them, but yeah, it just made me want to even play and be better than I am now. So,
and that's why for us, man, live shows are priority for us. We want to bring it to you direct, I truly believe that's how we're going to win fans, one by one, by live shows.
Well, I think that's definitely a good way to go, because you can get a certain amount of fans on the social medias, but there are a lot of people out there who really just want to go see live music. And if you're good live, you'll start to build a fan base that way.
See, like Brian said, I've seen a million bands, but it's rare that I actually put my pants on and pay a ticket to see a band. So yeah, live is where it's at.
Definitely. Well, listen, we got to get to another song. Which one you guys want to play? I'll let you pick. I got Drinking Man, Freak Show, or The Greed?
The Greed, sir.
Okay. Tell me about that song.
The song The Greed was, like I said, it was another riff that CJ brought in, and he and I worked out some structure. And I had an idea of just, the greed is everything it is. I mean, it's gluttony at its finest. Feed me everything.
That's well put.
Give me everything, but all you're going to get from me is an excuse because I need more.
All right.
And that's just everybody, and that's everyday life for everyone. And I just, you see it on TV, you see it everywhere, man.
Oh, it's all over.
So,
yeah.
And that's what it's about.
Okay, and this is Grind with The Greed. All right. That guitar solo was awesome on that one.
Yeah, man. CJ's a badass.
Well, listen, guys, we're just about out of time. That went very fast. Where are you guys playing now? You got any place you want to plug and let people know where you're playing?
I think we got August 25th.
September 25th.
With Skytown at the Vanguard in Tulsa.
Okay.
It's their CD release party, and they asked us to, jam with them. So we're excited. They're good guys, man.
They're a damn good band. We played with them last night. They played with us, and they're stellar, man.
All right, great. And also, tell us where people can find you on the web, your website and social media.
Yeah, Reverb Nation, Facebook,
Instagram. So Grind 918. I think we're on Twitter. I never get on there, so yeah.
I think you guys are.
Man. We're all over that.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on the show. And
thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
Much.
Bondi Guest House in Jomtien Beach, Pattaya, Thailand. And their guest house offers beachfront accommodations with all rooms having sea views. Some rooms have balconies overlooking the sea as well. The Jomtien nightlife is within an easy stroll, and the beach is right outside your door. The attractions of Pattaya City nightlife are also just a few minutes ride away. Food is available 24 hours and offer a selection of European and Thai food. The owners, Colin and Malcolm, look forward to welcoming you to the Bondi. And if you book early for October 2015, rooms start at 600 baht per night, which is approximately $18 US. For more information, email Colin at bondipattaya, BONDI at yahoo.co.uk. And if you do contact them, please mention that you heard about it on the Douglas Coleman Show. Okay, my next guest. He is a singer, songwriter, guitarist, pianist, producer, arranger, and Italian. Loves food and to cook, music, art, reading, and collecting books, history, ancient history, movies, flea markets, antiques, and collectibles, all things vintage and retro. He's also an animal lover and into animal rights. His latest musical project is called Joe Gande, The God Sent Sessions, which we will talk about in a minute. Please welcome my friend and guest, Joe Gande. Yay. How are you, Joe?
I'm good. How are you, Douglas?
Good.
Great to be here.
Good. Thank you very much for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me.
I know you're busy, and I found out about your music on Dave Davis's show. When I heard your song on that show, I said, I really want to get this guy on my radio show because I'm a big fan of your music. I love your piano playing, and your piano style is something that sounds like what I listened to when I was a kid, and I was emulating that sound, and you've got it.
Right.
So I was like, oh, this is great. I really want to talk to this guy, you know?
Right. That's great. Yeah. I try to, I grew up with the same type of music, it seems, I guess. And
I noticed on your bio that you and I are almost the same age. That surprised me as well, because when I'm looking at your pictures, I thought, man, he looks good for that, you know?
Well, thank you.
Because you've got some massive hair, and
I still look like that. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, my hair is fading away very quickly. It started out.
Yeah, mine's not the same as it used to be when I was in my 20s or something, but it's still like that. Yeah, I've been lucky, I guess, and blessed.
Well, you got the good hair gene, apparently. Yeah,
I guess so.
There's that picture of you with the paisley jacket and the leather pants and the hair. And I thought, man, if you open the dictionary and look up rock star, there's the picture. I mean, that is the look. That is absolutely the look.
Yeah, I like clothes and the vintage clothing. And I used to go around New York to all the vintage stores and look for stuff. That's kind of my bag.
Oh, it looked great.
The 60s, 70s kind of thing.
I wish those kind of fashions would come back. Those kind of jackets, like I remember seeing pictures of the Rolling Stones wearing stuff like that in the 60s.
Right.
And they just always look so cool, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's style. It's like there's a lot of style missing from, especially the music business, I think, you know.
Well, now they're lucky they wear anything on stage.
Yeah, I know. That's true.
You know, most of it. Did you see that? I don't know if you saw that on Yahoo. You know who Nicki Minaj is?
Oh, yeah.
And there was a thing that they did a wax of her at Madame Tussauds, and it's on display in Las Vegas.
Right.
And she's like on all fours, and she's practically naked. There's like all of these guys that are coming in taking really rude pictures of themselves with their cameras, you know, like with the wax figure, like from behind, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I got you.
And so Madame Tussauds has now had to implement extra security just on her wax figure because of these idiots coming in doing, disgusting pictures. And I'm thinking to myself, why does this woman even warrant a wax figure?
I agree with that. For sure.
I mean, a blow-up doll would be a better representation of her than a wax figure. Madame Tussauds has always done the Queen of England and
classics.
Right,
yeah.
John Wayne and the Beatles. I mean, people with real talent.
Yeah, I know. Classic style and class. Yeah.
Right, unbelievable. I blame them. I blame them for that. Bad call having her done in wax for sure.
No, that's in Vegas, you were saying?
Yeah, I'm not going to see it. There's no way.
There's no reason for that.
No, absolutely not. I wanted to ask you about your Twitter page. There's a beautiful picture on it, and I'm guessing it's in Italy because it looks like it's in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is it?
The picture there is San Sostene, Calabria. Yeah, at the top, you mean?
Right, the banner picture.
Yeah, I found that. I searched that for that. I've been to Italy a few times, but I searched for that because I was, at the time, looking for where my grandfather was from.
Oh,
and
okay.
And I discovered there was some discrepancies of which town and stuff like that, and I found that, and that's where he was born.
Oh,
and
okay, cool.
And I love that photograph. It's a great representation of that area of Calabria in southern Italy. So I put it up there. Yep.
You had mentioned, or in the thing I was reading, that your father was a very accomplished jazz saxophone player.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about your dad.
My dad was a big influence, definitely musically, on me, and he was a jazz tenor, bebop man at the height of the era back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and worked with many of the greats and stuff. He played with Charlie Barnett's big band, and Horace Silver was a good friend, and many people. And he was a New Yorker for many years as well. Traveled all over, and it was hard to get him to tell a lot of stories. He was more old school, so we always wanted him to write a book or something, but you had to pull a lot of stuff out of him. So I'm finding out more now that he has passed on, actually, than when he was alive.
Well, he would have he would have been in the heyday of jazz.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, back then he would hitchhike to New Orleans and Texas, and it started when he was in the Army, actually. He was in the Korean War, and he joined the marching band, and they played the Kentucky Derby. They would play like all the officers' functions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He does tell a story about that. They told him, you can't bring your saxophone. This is the Army. And of course, he's like, what are you talking about? And he brought his own with him. And he used to tell us they'd go AWOL and go to the officers, where they eat dinner and stuff and jam at night, and stuff like that. But that's where it started when he was a teenager. And,
I bet he's got some good stories. It's too bad he's passed on, but
yeah, thank you. I mean, I could talk about it for hours. He has some real classics.
Well, then there was something in there about what was it with the Merv Griffin show?
Well, back then, in the late 60s, early 70s, there was a big, everybody was heading out to the West Coast from here. My father grew up in Hartford when he was a kid, and a lot of the musicians out there on a lot of those shows are from the East Coast, in Connecticut, New York area, in general. And they would go out west. And so he got a lot of calls saying, move the family out here, and they wanted him to come and, work on some of the TV shows out there. That's where people like Emil Richards and Joe Porcaro, Skinny. I mean, they, my mom and dad grew up with them like best friends when they were kids, little kids. And so when they went out there, they all wanted my father to move and stuff. But at that time, he had just met my mom, happy and had it with that kind of lifestyle. So he's decided to stay here, but kept in contact a little bit through the years, and some of them still call my mom once in a while. But those were friends of his from growing up, but just hanging out in the streets as kids in Hartford,
Well, let's get to one of your songs.
Alrighty.
I want to play 25 Hours. Tell us about that. What's the story behind that one?
Let's see. 25 Hours started really as like a jam session, as like warming up in the studio when we were recording and doing the record. I would take I'd record all our rehearsals and everything, and when I get home, I'd go through them and see what had some magic and what didn't, and go through them all, and I was like, this is pretty cool, and I wrote some lyrics to it, and the guys are like, oh no, because we already had enough music for the record at the time. So I said, no, we got to do it, and everybody was all excited, so we just did it, and then I said, this has to have horns. I grew up with a lot of horns and big band to 70s soul music,
Oh, yeah.
So that's my favorite. And I wanted to incorporate that kind of vibe in a rock kind of thing. We added the horn section. Then it just kind of came from that. All the vocals on it are me. I did like a zillion harmonies, put them all together. It sounds like a lot of voices. Let's see, that's about it. It's just a cool little ditty, I guess. It's based with piano as opposed to guitar. I wanted something on the record that was just mostly piano. There's no guitar even on the track, I believe.
Okay, well, here is Joe Gande and 25 Hours. All right. Well, that one will wake you up in the morning for sure. Huh? You know what that sounds like to me? It sounds like Elton John's piano with Joe Cocker singing.
Wow, what a compliment. Well,
that's really what it is.
That's
it's
I just
great.
want it to be kind of a jammy kind of vibe, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Improv, really. It started as an improv, so we built the song around that.
Well,
Yeah,
definitely
those are
has
two of
a-
my biggest influences, and the Beatles and Sly Stone, and there's so many.
Well, I think I mentioned that about Elton John and Leon Russell at Dave's show, because Elton John for me was probably my biggest influence as far as my writing and piano style. When I was a kid, I bought Tumbleweed Connection.
Oh yeah.
And I played that album over and over and over again. And I would learn every song. I learned every song on the album.
Wow.
And by
That's
the
something.
time I learned how to play every song on the album, the next album came out.
Right.
Yeah. And I did that all the way up until Rock of the Westies. By then, Billy Joel had put out Turnstiles, and then Elton's music kind of changed at that point. He sort of went disco for a while, and
Yes.
I just wasn't into him, and I went right into Billy Joel at that point.
Right.
So that piano, that is just, it so reminds me of that song, Susie, Dramas, I got frostbitten in the winter. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
You remember that song?
Yeah. I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it just has that funky piano, which I absolutely love.
Right. I think that comes a lot from not taking lessons formally and just kind of doing things by ear. And,
Oh, yeah, I didn't take any lessons.
It was through osmosis, I think.
I was talking about this with the last guy, with another guy who's going to be on the showcase. And we were just talking about how music now is so... They've removed the soul factor from so much of the music that the major labels are spewing on us.
I agree.
And it's because so much, the vocals are so over-processed, auto-tune, and then they're using the computer really to create the music.
Yes.
I think computers are fine to record music and to mix it and to master it, but to create it, no. To create it, you need human beings playing real instruments. And if you don't have that, the music is soulless. It becomes thin. It becomes robotic. And what's happened is that now music has become very disposable. And I think it's a result of that, because if you can create something on the computer, you whip it out on the computer without really putting in hours and hours, and it's cheap to record like that versus recording on analog tape.
I rant about a lot of this a lot of the times these days.
Well,
Exactly.
it's a valid rant, and anybody who is talented, who really can do it, and you see these people up there who they get paid $200 a ticket to lip sync for 2 hours.
I know it's sad, really.
It just pisses us off.
I know it does. I mean, stand in the front row of your favorite concert, get albums, look at the liner notes, and it was more mystery to it, and everybody would stand there in awe at the musicianship of the players on the stage. Yeah. And I mean, when we were doing this record, that was one of the things I wanted to set out to do, and why maybe it has a little bit more of vibe got to the tape, because number one, we used tape. We used a little Pro Tools at the end for some editing and adding some overdubs, but it was all done with tape, and also the rhythm tracks were live, so none of it was pieced together.
Yeah,
there was three guys in a room, flooring it, and each song one after the other. And also on the vocals these days, they fly in the vocals. You sing one chorus and then they just piece them in every chorus.
Yeah, cut and paste.
That takes away all the soul. My record, I sang from beginning to end. So by the end, you get that. You're tired, you're more emotional, whatever, you can feel that. But if you just sing one chorus and then piece it in, it can be robotic. And,
absolutely.
So we wanted to accomplish something a little bit more classic that hopefully would last a long time, as opposed to be disposable, like you said, And I think a lot of it is the recording behind things.
Isn't it funny now that you could put that on your resume as something? Joe can sing for 3 minutes and 40 seconds straight without stopping.
I know that's funny.
You know, I mean,
I guess it is these days. It's kind of funny. But live, yeah. I mean, that's another thing. You be playing 3 or 4 nights in a row, forget it. You know, I need oxygen. We used to have it in the old days because you put a lot. I don't know. It's a person too, but it is a recording because I think there's a lot of artists that probably could sound more like that, but they're not in control of how things are recorded. And I know a lot of guys who don't even like how their own records come out.
Yeah.
Because their producers and engineers and everything is in charge. But we were all hands-on with it, and which thankfully, from the beginning, I wanted to get. We even used vintage gear on purpose, you know, vintage microphones. I got to use a piano that John Lennon had used in the studio.
Wow.
Just to create a lot of vibe. Plus, I think tape is, you know, very warm, and you get all those mistakes and magical, weird stuff happening that you don't really hear digitally.
Yeah, when I'm not a real big fan of digital, although I like what you can do with it.
Yeah, me too.
But as far as like doing a recording, I would definitely prefer to use tape.
Right.
But it is expensive. And
that's the problem. That's the problem. And especially working in, you know, a home studio now, it's great. You can get your creations out and work on them. And I mean, we did a lot of that before we went in to do the tape to prepare. Yeah, but the actual stuff was tape. But yes, it's highly expensive, and almost nobody does it anymore. Really, even the big boys, you know, they have a lot of times half their records recorded on their laptop.
Yeah, and it does change the sound of the music. I mean, it really, the whole, I guess the word is timbre. Mm-hmm. The timbre of the music doesn't sound right. I remember when the Beatles released all of their old albums on CD for the first time, back in the early 80s or mid 80s, whenever it was. And I didn't like it.
Right, yeah.
You know, I said, wow, this sounds really thin. It just doesn't sound good. I like the old, you know, the old vinyl records with the scratches in it and the pops in it. And
adds character.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And you get all the nuances with the instruments, with the feedbacks and the different things that they're in there. Some listeners might hear them, and some might not, but there are a lot of things going on that the music creates on its own. It becomes its own thing. You can't get that when you're just piecing tracks together. That's not going to happen. But they have a lot of gear now to help with that, you know, tube amps and things to warm up the digital recording. So it's gotten better, and it's faster and easier. Like I said, it doesn't sound the same. You're right.
Well, certainly editing on a computer is great, and mixing.
Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah. Anyways, let's see. Why don't let's get to the other song.
Okay.
And this one is Can't See My Life. What's that one about?
Mm-hmm. I guess
the title pretty much says it, but yeah.
Well, yeah, a lot of my songs are kind of, for the lack of a better word, I guess people could put what they want to the words, to the meaning. Like in that song, you might think it's about a relationship between a man and a woman, or, you know, any relationship but at the time of this recording, it actually, a lot of the emotion in the song was about my dad passing away.
Oh, okay.
So that comes into play with some of the feelings there, but I don't know, you know, I just kind of sing stuff.
Hey, I like that answer. That's a great answer.
I kind of sing stuff.
I kind of sing stuff.
And, you know, when I write lyrics, that's what happens too. I don't really sit and say, I got to write this story and perfectly. People can relate in different ways in their life. And that's what I've been hearing. And so hopefully that people can relate in some way to what they're going through, I guess. Take their own meaning to it.
Okay. I think that's a fantastic answer. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Let's listen to this one. This is Joe Gande and Can't See My Life.
There was a time when we were lovers. I guess now it's time for being friends. Someday we'll be laughing at each other, 'cause we'll be together till the end. And I can't
perfect. I love that sax at the end. That's great. Just adds a nice tail to that song.
Oh, thank you, Douglas. Yeah, a little note about that. That's actually my dad.
No kidding.
The sax there. I wanted to find some way to get him on the record. I searched through tons of reel-to-reel tapes and all kinds of recordings I could dig up to find a piece to fit somewhere. That's what that is. That's him playing on a piece from like the 60s, I think.
Oh, that's beautiful, man. That's great.
That's where the Pro Tools did come in, and we were able to piece that there. And it was in tune with the song. It was difficult. It took a lot of hours, but I was able to do that. So.
Ah, that's sweet. That's nice. Yeah, I had no idea that was your dad, but good job. Well done.
Thanks so much. That means a lot to me. And as far as what I was saying before, I mean, the song is a relationship song, but I just wanted to say that a lot of the emotion in the chorus and what I was feeling when singing the song had to do with that time in my life. So combination,
Oh, right. Yeah.
Created the emotion. And in the video on YouTube, somebody created for me. I worked on 48th Street for a long time in Music Row in Manhattan, which is gone now, sadly. The last store closed, I think, a few weeks ago. In the video, they put a lot of pictures of Manny's and Sam Ash and some of the guys that are no longer with us, or, because some of the stores have closed.
Yeah.
So a lot of people relate to it in that way, So it can be taken a lot of different ways, I suppose.
Well, that's a nice tribute to your father, too. Well, see, now I'm getting a little verklempt thinking about that.
Me too.
Yeah, well, no, because I had no idea when you said that. I just heard that sax at the end, and I thought, wow, that's really nice.
Well, it's a crazy story. I came home to visit, to get a little R&R, visit family, eat some good food. I'd been away for a while, and he passed away when I was home, which is strange in itself. When I went back to the city, that's when we began, okay, we're going to do a project, this mega project, and put it together. And I was really driven. I just felt like, I can go one of two ways with this. And I thought he would want me to. I delved into the whole music thing and to the songs and making of the record at that time. So that has a lot to do with some of the vibe of the record.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure, indirectly, directly,
Well, listen, I don't want to cut you off or anything, but we have gone well over our 30 minutes.
We did?
Yeah.
This is so great. You're the best,
Thanks, Joe.
I don't do this very often, and I really appreciate it. I feel so comfortable. Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity to chat like this.
Listen, it's my pleasure. I always love chatting with musicians who are kind of on the same page musically. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we could just go on for hours. As a matter of fact, maybe sometime down the road you can come on and we'll just have you on for the whole show.
That would be wonderful.
That way we'd get a real hour's worth of talk.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
Okay, well, please just tell everybody where they can find you on the web. Just give a shout out to your websites, if you will.
Okay, well, hi, everybody. Ciao a tutti.
For all your Italian fans.
Yeah, I have to have a little bit of that, You can find me at all the social networks, basically Facebook music page, Twitter, YouTube. The best place to buy my CD music is on Bandcamp, joegande.bandcamp.com. You can find it on iTunes and Spotify and all the other retailers, but that's probably the best for the artist. So I recommend artists and fans buying their music there. Lately, I've been getting into the Twitter a lot more. I've learned more how to utilize it. Early on, I was like, what is this? But it's been great connecting with everybody. And let's see, where else?
Do you have your own website?
Yeah, I do. Right now I'm using a blog. It's joegande.blogspot.com.
Okay.
Everything is there. It's in the works, but you can pretty much listen to music and see all kinds of food. I'm in the process of working on a cookbook, actually.
Oh, cool.
It's a different type of project because I just love food and cooking, and I grew up with that, and watch the Food Network. I'm kind of a foodie, so I thought maybe I should do it. So it's kind of like music to me when you cook, putting all the different parts together.
Oh, I can see that. And there's definitely an art to good cooking. The great chefs, they don't measure anything. They just throw it in, a little bit, a pinch of this, a dash of that.
I know. When people ask my mom or I ask her, well, how much? You got to tell me. And she's like, just a little of this,
Right. And it's the same thing as musicians who just do it off the cuff or by ear, as opposed to the musicians who have the music. It's the same thing. You go with a recipe or you just do it from memory. Well, listen, we've got to cut this off. Let's do our goodbye here.
All right.
And I want to thank my guest, Joe Gande from New York City. Please come back to the show sometime, Joe, when we have more time to talk. I would really love that.
Thank you, Douglas. It's been great, and I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and speak with you. And it was a lot of fun. Thanks.
Great. I'm glad you had a good time. I had a good time.
Yeah.
Well, that's about all the time we've got for our showcase. I want to thank my special guests tonight, Diane Cameron Elam, Colin Clyne, heavy metal band Grind, and Joe Gande. Thank you guys very much for coming on the showcase. I really appreciate it. Also want to thank my co-host, the always light and fluffy Cindy Diadamo, and of course, Periscope Girl. Next week's show is going to feature video game music composer Nathan McCrae. So very interested to talk to him. This is Douglas Coleman saying good night.